Cold metal bites into my wrists. The hood over my head smells like gasoline and fear. My fear, soaked into the fabric over hours I can't count. When they finally rip it off, fluorescent light stabs my eyes. I'm in a basement, concrete walls, single metal chair bolted to the floor, and standing 3 meters away, backlit by a bare bulb, is a man I haven't seen in 7 years, Michael Chen. My brain can't process it, won't process it, because Michael Chen died in a car accident in Portland 7 years ago. I went to his funeral. I watched them lower an empty casket into the ground because the crash burned so hot there was nothing left to bury. But he's standing right here, older, harder, a scar running from his left eyebrow to his hairline. Same dark eyes that used to look at me like I was the only person in the world. Now they're looking at me like I'm a problem he needs to solve. Emma. His voice is exactly the same. That slight rasp from the vocal cord damage he got in a college hockey accident. I need you to stay very calm and listen to what I'm about to tell you. Calm. He wants me to stay calm. I was walking to my car after my nursing shift at Vancouver General Hospital 20 minutes ago. Someone grabbed me from behind, needle stick in my neck, darkness. And now I'm zip-tied to a chair in a basement facing my dead fiancé? You're not real, I hear myself say. You're not real. This is a breakdown. I'm having a breakdown. You're not having a breakdown. He steps closer. Movements careful, like I'm a spooked animal. I know this is impossible to understand right now, but I'm going to explain everything. Just don't scream. Please don't scream. We don't have much time. Time for what? My heart is hammering so hard I can feel it in my throat. I look around the basement, trying to find anything that makes sense. There's a workbench against one wall with tools hung on pegboard, a water heater in the corner, stairs leading up to a closed door. This isn't a dungeon. It's just someone's basement. Where am I? My voice comes out steadier than I feel. My brother's house, Richmond Hill. We're still in the Greater Toronto area. He pulls out a knife, and I flinch so hard the chair scrapes against concrete. I'm cutting the zip ties. I need you to trust me for about 5 minutes. After that, you can hate me, you can run, you can call the police. But right now, I need 5 minutes. The knife slices through the plastic. Blood rushes back into my hands, pins and needles exploding in my fingers. I don't run. Where would I go? Up those stairs into a house full of people who kidnapped me? Michael crouches down, so we're at eye level. This close, I can see more differences. Lines around his eyes that weren't there before, a small scar on his chin. His hair is shorter, almost military style. But it's him. It's definitely him. 7 years ago, I worked for my father's import business in Portland. What you didn't know, what I never told you, was that business wasn't exactly legal. We smuggled goods across the Canadian border. High-end electronics, pharmaceuticals, occasionally art pieces that customs couldn't verify. Nothing violent, nothing that hurt people, just smuggling. I'm shaking my head. This doesn't match the man I knew. The man who volunteered at the youth center, who wanted to open a restaurant, who proposed to me on a beach in Tofino with his grandmother's ring. The night of the car accident, I was making a delivery, except it wasn't a delivery. It was a setup. A rival organization wanted to take over our routes. They killed my father, killed my driver, rigged my car to explode. I should have died. I was supposed to die. But you didn't. The words feel distant, like someone else is saying them. I didn't. Someone pulled me out before the car went up. A man named Richard Zhang, my father's oldest friend. He got me to a hospital under a fake name, then convinced me that if the people who did this thought I survived, they'd come after everyone I loved. My mother, my brother, you. He reaches toward my face, then stops himself. Especially you. So you let me think you were dead. The anger hits like a physical thing, hot, and sharp in my chest. You let me grieve you. I went to therapy for 2 years, Michael. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I thought about killing myself for 6 months straight because the pain was so bad. Something breaks in his expression. I know. I watched you at the funeral from across the cemetery. I saw what it did to you. That's why I stayed dead. Because if I came back, I'd bring all that danger with me. The people who killed my father, they're still out there. They're still powerful. Then why am I here now? Why kidnap me from a hospital parking lot if you're so committed to protecting me? Because 3 days ago, I found out they know you exist. He pulls out his phone, shows me a photo. It's me, walking out of the hospital in my scrubs. Someone took this picture from a car across the street. They've been watching you, building a file, and tonight they were planning to grab you, use you as leverage against my brother. My brain is trying to catch up. Your brother? You said this is your brother's house. Daniel, you met him once at a family dinner, remember? Quiet guy, worked in finance. After I died, Daniel took over the family operations, cleaned up the business, made most of it legitimate. But some people don't care about legitimate. They care about revenge. They want to hurt our family for past sins. So you kidnapped me first. I stand up too, legs unsteady. You terrorized me to save me from being terrorized. Do you hear how insane that sounds? I had 20 minutes to get you off the street before they did. 20 minutes, Emma. I couldn't exactly walk up and introduce myself. Hi, I'm your dead fiancé. Please come with me before the mobsters grab you. You would have screamed. You would have run, and they would have taken you. The basement door at the top of the stairs opens. A man descends, and I recognize him immediately, even though I only met him once. Daniel Chen. Taller than Michael, wire-rimmed glasses, that same careful way of moving. He's carrying a first aid kit. She's awake. Good. Daniel sets the kit on the workbench. How much have you told her? Enough. Not everything. He turns to me. You're bleeding from the injection site. I touch my neck, feel the sticky warmth. It barely registers. My entire reality is bleeding out. What's a little actual blood? Daniel approaches slowly, hands visible. I'm going to clean that and put a bandage on it. The needle was clean, just sedative. You're not in danger from infection, okay? I nod, because what else am I supposed to do? He works quickly, efficiently, his hands gentle. When he's done, he steps back and addresses Michael without looking at him. Mom wants to see her, upstairs. She's been crying since you brought in Emma. That's not a good idea, Michael says immediately. It's not a request. You know how she gets. Daniel finally looks at me. Mrs. Chen, our mother, she loved you. When Michael died, she lost a son, but she also lost a daughter-in-law. This is hard for her too. The casual way they're talking about upending my entire life makes rage bloom hot in my stomach. I don't care what's hard for your mother. I want to leave, right now. You can't. Michael's voice is flat. Until we neutralize the threat. 3 days, maybe 4. Then we'll set you up with new identification, new city, new everything. But right now, the safest place for you is here. You mean the safest place for me is prisoner in your brother's basement?
Guest room upstairs, actually, Daniel corrects, with a lock on the inside of the door, and your phone once we've disabled the tracking, and anything else you need within reason. This isn't a kidnapping, it's protective custody. Protective custody involves police and lawyers and my consent. I'm shouting now, not drugging people in parking lots. The police can't help you with this. Michael moves closer. The organization that wants to grab you has cops on payroll in 3 provinces. We report this, you're dead within 48 hours. I know how this sounds. I know you have zero reason to trust me, but I'm asking you to trust the fact that I loved you enough to destroy my own life to keep you safe. I'm asking you to believe that I'm doing it again now. Loved. Past tense. The word stings more than it should given everything else happening. The thing is, I can see it in his eyes, the truth of what he's saying, the desperation. This isn't some elaborate con. Michael Chen, or whoever he is now, genuinely believes I'm in danger. Whether that danger is real or paranoid delusion, I can't tell yet, but he believes it. Okay, I say quietly. I'll stay. For now. But I want answers. Real answers. Everything you haven't told me. Michael exchanges a look with Daniel. Some silent brother communication I can't read. Upstairs, Daniel decides. Mom deserves to see her. Then we'll tell her everything. The house above the basement is normal. Disturbingly normal. Hardwood floors, family photos on the walls, the smell of something cooking in the kitchen. We pass through a hallway and I catch a glimpse of a living room with a sectional sofa and a TV playing the evening news. This could be any upper-middle-class home in any Toronto suburb. Mrs. Chen is waiting in what looks like a formal sitting room. She's aged since I last saw her, more gray in her hair, deeper lines around her mouth, but when she sees me, her face crumples exactly the way it did at Michael's funeral. Emma. Oh, Emma. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you're going through this. She crosses the room and pulls me into a hug before I can react. She smells like jasmine and ginger, the same perfume she always wore. I stand rigid in her embrace, not returning it. When she pulls back, there are tears streaming down her face. I wanted to tell you, she says. When Michael came back, when I found out he was alive, I wanted to call you immediately, but he made me promise. He said it was the only way to keep you safe. Everyone keeps talking about keeping me safe. I pull away from her, needing space. Safe from what, exactly? Give me specifics, names, organizations, actual concrete information. Daniel gestures to the sofa. Sit. This is going to take a while. I sit. Mrs. Chen settles beside me, close, but not touching. Michael and Daniel remain standing, positioned like they're guarding the exits. Maybe they are. The organization is called the Lotus Syndicate. They run most of the illegal gambling, loan sharking, and smuggling operations between Vancouver and Toronto. 20 years ago, when our father was starting out, he partnered with them on some shipments. It was supposed to be temporary. It became permanent. Our father wanted out, spent 5 years trying to extract himself from their operations. They don't allow people to leave. So they killed him and made it look like we were caught in the crossfire. Mrs. Chen's hand finds mine, squeezes hard. After the explosion, Richard Zhang helped me disappear, got me to Montreal, gave me a new identity. I became Marcus Liu, consultant for international trade compliance. Boring, legitimate, invisible. Michael's voice goes flat. I spent 7 years building a completely clean life, so that eventually, maybe, I could come home, could reach out to the people I left behind. But the syndicate doesn't forget, Daniel says. 3 months ago, they approached me with a business proposal. Very professional, very cordial. They wanted to use our legitimate import company as a front for their operations. I declined. That's when things got complicated. They started investigating our family, looking for pressure points, leverage. Michael pulls out his phone again, swipes through several photos. This is from 2 weeks ago. That's you leaving work. This is from 10 days ago, you at the grocery store. This is from 6 days ago, having coffee with your colleague Sarah at that place on Robson Street. My blood goes cold. Someone has been following me for weeks, and I never noticed. Never felt that crawling sensation between my shoulder blades that something was wrong. They know where you live, know your schedule, know that you volunteer at the youth clinic every other Wednesday. Daniel's voice is clinical, but I can hear the anger underneath. Yesterday, we intercepted communications confirming they plan to grab you tonight, use you to force me into compliance. We had to move first, Michael finishes. Had to get you somewhere they couldn't reach you. I'm sorry it was terrifying. I'm sorry I couldn't give you warning. But if I had approached you directly, you might have hesitated, might have questioned, and we didn't have time for questions. I'm processing all of this, trying to sort through what's real and what might be paranoid exaggeration. Show me proof, the intercepted communications, something concrete. Daniel pulls out a tablet, navigates to an encrypted messaging app, shows me a thread of messages in Chinese. Can you read Mandarin? No. He switches to a translation app. The messages are clinical, detached. Target confirmed at usual location. Team ready for extraction. Priority, unharmed acquisition. There's a photo attached. It's me, walking to my car in the hospital parking lot. The metadata shows it was taken 18 hours ago. My hands start shaking. I try to stop them, but my body has decided this is real, even if my mind is still catching up. Who are these people, specifically? The Vancouver branch is run by a man named Thomas Liang. He's second generation, grew up in Richmond, went to UBC, looks like any other businessman, but he's violent when crossed. 3 people who refused his business proposals in the last 2 years have disappeared. 1 washed up in the Fraser River, the other 2 were never found. And you think he'd actually hurt me? Kill me? I think he'd keep you alive as long as you were useful, but useful has a time limit. Once I gave him what he wanted, you'd become a liability, someone who could identify him, testify against him. He doesn't leave liabilities walking around. Mrs. Chen is crying silently beside me. I should comfort her, but I can barely hold myself together. So what's the plan? I hide here for a few days, then what? You give me new identification and ship me off to some new city where I start over again? New name, new job, no contact with anyone I've ever known? That's one option, Michael says carefully. What's the other option? The brothers exchange another look. This one lasts longer, some argument happening without words. We end this, Michael finally says. We take down Thomas Liang and enough of his operation that the syndicate loses its foothold in Vancouver. Remove the threat entirely instead of just running from it. And how exactly do you take down an organized crime syndicate? The question comes out sharper than I intend. Carefully. Daniel sits down across from me. We've been building a case for 3 months. Financial records, testimony from people they victimized, connections to legitimate businesses they're using as fronts. We have a contact in the RCMP who's clean, Detective Jennifer Park. She's been investigating the syndicate for 2 years. With what we can provide, she can make arrests that actually stick.
But to do that, we need one more piece, Michael adds. We need someone on the inside to wear a wire. Get Thomas Liang on record discussing his operations, specifically mentioning my father's death, which would give Park jurisdiction to make the arrest. There's a long silence. Then I understand what they're not saying. No, I stand up so fast Mrs. Chen gasps. Absolutely not. You're not asking me to. We're not asking you to do anything, Michael interrupts. This is purely informational. The person who would wear the wire is me. I've been building a cover identity that Thomas might accept, a consultant who can help him expand his smuggling routes into Eastern Canada. If I can get a meeting, get him talking, you'll get yourself killed. The words burst out before I can stop them. Michael, these people murdered your father. They'll recognize you. They've never seen Marcus Liu. I've spent 7 years becoming someone completely different. Different name, different style, different mannerisms. And I've aged. He touches the scar on his forehead. Got this in Montreal, bar fight, completely unrelated. But it changes my face enough that casual recognition is unlikely. Unlikely isn't impossible. Nothing about this situation is without risk. His voice softens. But the alternative is you spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, never feeling safe, never trusting that you're actually free. I did that for 7 years, Emma. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, especially not you. I sink back onto the sofa, head in my hands. This is insane, all of it. 24 hours ago, my biggest concern was whether I'd have time to meal prep before my next shift rotation. Now I'm in a safe house discussing wiretaps and organized crime syndicates with my supposedly dead fiancé.
When? I ask through my fingers. When is this meeting supposed to happen? 3 days from now, Thursday evening at a restaurant Thomas owns in Yaletown. Neutral territory, public enough that violence is unlikely, private enough that he'll speak freely. Daniel pulls up a file on his tablet. We've planned every detail. Multiple exits, backup teams positioned nearby, Detective Park monitoring in real time. What do you need from me? Nothing, Michael says immediately. You stay here, stay safe, stay out of it entirely. Once it's done, once Thomas is arrested and the operation is dismantled, you can decide what comes next. Whether you want to go back to your old life or start fresh somewhere new, that choice is yours. I look up at him, really look at him for the first time since the hood came off. 7 years ago, Michael Chen was confident, optimistic, always laughing. The man standing in front of me now has a hardness around his eyes, a wariness in his posture. This life, the running, the hiding, the constant vigilance, it's carved pieces out of him. I can't just sit here for 3 days doing nothing while you risk your life. My voice sounds hollow. I'll lose my mind. There's a guest room upstairs with books, TV, whatever you want, Mrs. Chen offers quietly. I can teach you to make dumplings like I always promised. We can talk, catch up, pretend for a few days that things are normal. Normal. Nothing about this is normal. Nothing will ever be normal again. But what choice do I have? Run out into the street and straight into the arms of the people who want to use me as leverage? Go to the police and hope I get one of the ones who isn't corrupt? Try to disappear on my own with no resources, no experience, no idea how to actually vanish? Okay, I whisper. 3 days. But after that, I want answers about everything. What you've been doing for 7 years, why you never sent a message, how you lived with letting me think you were dead. Everything. Everything, Michael agrees. I promise. The guest room is exactly what Mrs. Chen described. Queen bed with a floral duvet, dresser with fresh flowers, window overlooking a quiet residential street. The door has a lock on the inside. There's an ensuite bathroom stocked with new toiletries still in their packaging. It's a prison that doesn't look like a prison. I lock the door, strip off my scrubs that smell like hospital and fear, and stand under the shower until the water runs cold. When I finally emerge, wrapped in a bathrobe I found hanging on the door, there's a soft knock. Emma? I brought you some clothes. Mrs. Chen's voice is tentative. I guessed your size. If they don't fit, I can get different ones. I unlock the door. She's holding a small stack. Jeans, sweaters, underwear still in packages, comfortable shoes, everything exactly my size. Thank you. I take the clothes. Mrs. Chen, call me Helen, please. You were going to be my daughter-in-law once. Maybe you still will be if Michael ever works up the courage to tell you how he really feels. He said loved, past tense, because he thinks he doesn't deserve present tense. Helen touches my arm gently. He watches videos of you sometimes, on social media. Your hospital did a feature about the youth clinic program you volunteer with. He's watched it probably 50 times. I know because I've caught him. This information should comfort me. Instead, it feels invasive, creepy. He's been watching me live my life while staying dead to me. I need to be alone for a while, I tell Helen. Is that okay? Of course. I'll bring dinner up in a few hours. Chicken and rice, your favorite. I remember everything you liked. I never stopped thinking of you as family, Emma, even when you didn't know we still existed. She leaves, closing the door softly behind her. I lock it again and dress in the clothes she brought. They fit perfectly, which means Michael told her my exact sizes, which means he's been paying very close attention. I sit on the edge of the bed and finally let myself feel it. All of it. The terror of being grabbed, the shock of seeing Michael alive, the anger at being lied to for 7 years, the fear of what's coming in 3 days. It crashes over me in waves, and I curl into myself, trying to breathe through it. There's another knock. Different from Helen's tentative tap. This one is firm, familiar. Emma, it's me. Can we talk? No. Please, 5 minutes. You said that in the basement. Your 5 minutes turned into my entire world being destroyed. Silence. Then, you're right. I'm sorry. I'll be downstairs if you need anything. I listen to his footsteps retreat down the hallway. Part of me wants to open the door, demand more answers, scream at him until my throat bleeds. The other part wants to stay in this room forever, where nothing can get worse because nothing can change. The thing is, Michael is right about one thing. I can't go back to my old life. Even if the syndicate threat is resolved, even if Thomas Liang gets arrested and the organization crumbles, I've seen behind the curtain now. I know that Michael Chen didn't die 7 years ago. I know that organized crime isn't something that happens to other people in other cities. It's here. It's real. It almost touched me. I lie down on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Downstairs, I can hear the murmur of voices. Helen and Daniel talking in the kitchen, Michael's deeper voice joining them occasionally. Normal family sounds in a deeply abnormal situation. My phone is on the nightstand. Daniel returned it after disabling something he called remote access capabilities that apparently would have allowed someone to track my location. I pick it up. Scroll through messages. 17 from Sarah, my colleague, asking where I am and if I'm okay. 3 from the hospital administration, asking me to call immediately. 12 from my landlord about rent that's due in 5 days. My entire life continuing without me, expecting me to show up, to respond, to be present. But I'm not there. I'm here, in this guest room in Richmond Hill, hiding from people who want to use me as leverage against a family I didn't even know was still alive. I text Sarah back. Family emergency, will explain when I can. Don't worry about me. It's the truth, more or less, just not the whole truth. By Thursday morning, I've developed a routine. Wake up at 6, same as always. Shower, dress in the clothes Helen keeps bringing. Go downstairs for breakfast, where Michael and Daniel are always already awake, drinking coffee and reviewing documents I'm not allowed to see. We don't talk much. What is there to say? The first morning, I tried to make conversation, asked Daniel about his work, his life, what he's been doing for 7 years. He answered politely, but briefly, clearly uncomfortable. Michael just watched me eat, this unreadable expression on his face. By the second morning, I stopped trying. We eat in silence. They discuss logistics in Mandarin, which I don't speak. I drink coffee and think about the youth clinic I'm missing, the patients who expect me to be there. Today, though, the silence feels different, heavier, because tonight is the meeting. Tonight, Michael walks into a restaurant owned by a crime boss and tries to get him to confess to murder. You don't have to do this, I say suddenly, breaking the quiet. There has to be another way. Michael sets down his coffee. We've been over this. I know, but I'm saying it again. This is dangerous, insanely dangerous. What if he recognizes you? What if the wire fails? What if I succeed? He leans forward. What if tonight ends this? What if you get to go home, go back to work, live your life without looking over your shoulder? At the cost of your life? I'm already dead, remember? Died 7 years ago in Portland. Marcus Liu walking into that restaurant? He's nobody, just a consultant making a business pitch. Stop. I stand abruptly, chair scraping against tile. Stop talking about yourself like you're disposable. You're not nobody. I cut myself off before I say something I can't take back. Daniel clears his throat. I should check the surveillance equipment. He leaves, taking his coffee with him. Michael and I sit in the suddenly too quiet kitchen. Outside, the morning sun is burning off the fog, revealing another beautiful Vancouver day. People are going to work, walking dogs, living ordinary lives. I'm not trying to be disposable, Michael says finally. I'm trying to fix what I broke. Your life was good before I came back into it. You were safe, happy, building a career. Now you're trapped in my brother's house, terrified, because my family's past caught up with all of us. My life wasn't that good. The admission surprises us both. I was functional, I was surviving, but I haven't been truly happy since you died, since I thought you died. I force myself to meet his eyes. Finding out you're alive. That's the most devastating and wonderful thing that's happened to me in 7 years. I hate you for what you did. I hate you for letting me grieve. But I'm also so relieved you're not dead that I can barely breathe when I think about it. He stands, moves toward me, stops an arm's length away. Emma, don't. Don't say something that makes promises you can't keep. I wrap my arms around myself. Just come back tonight. Whatever happens with Thomas Liang, whatever he says or doesn't say, just come back alive. That's all I'm asking. I'll come back. His voice is rough. I promise. Promises from a man who faked his own death. Promises from someone who spent 7 years lying to everyone who ever loved him. But I want to believe him anyway. The restaurant is called Azure Dragon. I know this because I've been staring at Detective Jennifer Park's laptop screen for the past hour, watching multiple camera angles of an upscale Chinese restaurant in Yaletown. Michael is scheduled to arrive at 7, Thomas Liang at 7:15. We're in an unmarked van 3 blocks away. Detective Park, Daniel, myself, and 2 other officers whose names I've already forgotten. The space is cramped, hot, smelling like coffee and tension. You shouldn't be here, Daniel says for the 3rd time. This was supposed to be monitored from the house. And I was supposed to stay upstairs like a good hostage. I don't look away from the screens. Detective Park, Jennifer, she told me to call her, adjusts her headphones. He's early, just pulled up. On the screen, I watch Michael exit a dark sedan. He's wearing an expensive suit, hair slicked back, wire-rimmed glasses I've never seen him wear. He looks like a consultant, like Marcus Liu. Nothing like the Michael Chen I knew. He enters the restaurant. The interior camera shows him being greeted by a hostess, led to a private dining room in the back. The room has 1 large round table, traditional Chinese decor, and, according to Jennifer, 3 hidden cameras and 4 microphones. Audio check. Jennifer speaks into her radio. Michael's voice comes through the speakers in the van. Reading clear, waiting on our guest. My hands are shaking. I press them against my thighs, trying to still them. At 7:12, another car arrives. Thomas Liang emerges, and I get my first look at the man who's been hunting me. He's younger than I expected, maybe 40, dressed in designer casual, handsome in an expensive way. He looks like any successful Vancouver businessman. Not a killer, not a monster. That's what makes him terrifying. Liang enters the restaurant. The camera shows him being led to the same private room. He greets Michael with a handshake, sits down, orders tea without looking at the menu. Mr. Liu, thank you for meeting with me. Liang's English is perfect, accent-free. Your proposal interested me, though I'll admit I'm curious why someone with your credentials wants to work with my particular type of business. Because legitimate consulting has a ceiling. I can make a comfortable living helping companies navigate international trade law, but comfortable isn't the same as wealthy. You're offering the latter. Direct. I appreciate that. Most people dance around what we actually do here. I don't see the point in dancing. You run smuggling operations, primarily electronics and pharmaceuticals, some luxury goods. You use legitimate import companies as friends and pay off the right customs officials to look the other way. I'm not here to judge your methods. I'm here to make them more efficient. And what makes you think you can? Because I know which ports have the least oversight, which shipping companies have sympathetic employees, which routes authorities are watching and which they've given up on. I spent 3 years working for Eastern Trade Compliance. Before that, 2 years with Pacific Rim Logistics. I've been inside the system. I know where the holes are.
This is going well. Too well. I can see it in Jennifer's face, the surprise that Michael is this convincing. Liang is quiet for a moment, studying Michael. Then he signals to someone off camera. A man enters, hands Liang a folder. Liang opens it, flips through several pages. Marcus Liu, born in Montreal, educated at McGill, currently living in Toronto. Liang looks up. Very complete background. Very clean. Almost too clean. My heart stops. Daniel swears under his breath. I'm boring, Michael says calmly. I keep my head down, do my work, pay my taxes. If that's suspicious to you, perhaps we're not a good fit. On the contrary, Liang closes the folder. Boring is exactly what I need. Flashy people attract attention. Boring people slip under the radar. He pauses. Though I have to wonder why someone with your credentials couldn't find legitimate work that pays well. Surely there are companies that would value your expertise without requiring you to break the law? There are. I've worked for several. But I got tired of watching executives take credit for my strategies while I collected a salary that barely covered Toronto rent. I want equity, Mr. Liang. I want to build something that's mine. Working with you gives me that opportunity. The conversation continues. Michael pitches his services. Liang asks probing questions. They discuss routes and timelines and payment structures. It sounds like any business negotiation, except the business is crime. 20 minutes in, Liang finally says something useful. The last consultant I worked with was excellent. Family man, very connected in Portland. Unfortunately, he tried to leave our arrangement. That didn't end well for him. Michael doesn't react. People who try to leave clearly didn't understand the terms from the beginning. I'm not interested in a temporary partnership. I'm interested in building something sustainable. That's what David Chen said too, right before his car exploded. There it is. Confession to murder caught on recording. I watch Jennifer's face light up, watch her make frantic notes. But Michael's posture has changed. Subtle, but I know him well enough to see it. The stiffness in his shoulders, the slight tightening of his jaw. I heard about that, Michael says calmly. Car bomb in Portland took out him and his son, if I remember correctly. Tragic. His son, yes, Michael Chen. Good kid, wrong family. Liang pours more tea. That's the problem with family businesses, Mr. Liu. Loyalty gets confused with liability. David couldn't separate his role as a father from his role as a partner. When I told him I needed him to expand operations, he refused, said he wanted to go legitimate for his son's sake. Can you imagine? Throwing away millions in revenue because of sentimentality? I can't. Michael picks up his teacup. His hand is steady. I don't have those attachments. No wife, no children, no elderly parents depending on me. I'm free to commit fully to this work. Perfect. Liang stands, extending his hand. I think we'll work well together, Mr. Liu. My people will contact you next week with specific routes I need analyzed. We'll start small, see how you perform. If all goes well, there's significant opportunity for advancement. Michael shakes his hand. They exchange some pleasantries about the restaurant's food, confirm next steps, say goodbye. Liang leaves first. Michael waits exactly 2 minutes, then exits the private room. The camera shows him walking through the main restaurant, nodding to the hostess, stepping out onto the street. Package is mobile, heading to extraction point. One of Jennifer's officers radios. Jennifer pulls off her headphones, face flush with victory. We got him. We got him on record admitting to David Chen's murder. That's enough for an arrest warrant, enough to start pulling his whole operation apart. Daniel is already on his phone, coordinating something in Mandarin. I just sit there, trying to process what I watched. Michael walked into a room with his father's killer and discussed business. Didn't flinch, didn't break, played the role perfectly. Emma, Jennifer touches my shoulder. Are you okay? Am I okay? My dead fiancé just had tea with a murderer. Just got the man to confess to killing Michael's father. Just walked out of a building that could have been his grave. I need air. I push past Daniel, climb out of the van into the Vancouver evening. The street is busy with people heading to dinner, walking dogs, living their normal Thursday night lives. None of them know that 3 blocks away, justice just happened in the back room of a restaurant.
Michael appears around the corner, still in his consultant costume. When he sees me, his pace quickens. He doesn't say anything, just pulls me into his arms. I feel him shaking. I heard him. Michael's voice is muffled against my hair. I heard him talk about killing my father like it was a business decision, like it was nothing. But you got him. Jennifer said the recording is enough. I know it worked, but sitting there, listening to him, he pulls back and his eyes are wet. I wanted to kill him, Emma. Right there in that room. I wanted to reach across the table but you didn't. You did the right thing. You got justice the right way. Your father would be proud of you. He laughs, a broken sound. My father would hate what I've become. A liar, a ghost, someone who let the woman he loved grieve for years rather than risk bringing her into this mess. Your father would understand that you made impossible choices in an impossible situation. I don't know if that's true, but I need it to be. And you need to stop punishing yourself for surviving. Jennifer appears in the doorway of the van. We need to move. Liang's going to hear we have a warrant soon. I want Emma somewhere secure before that happens. The house in Richmond Hill, Daniel says immediately. It's still the safest location. I don't argue. Where else would I go? The arrest happens at midnight. RCMP raids 3 locations simultaneously: Liang's office in Richmond, his home in Vancouver, and the Azure Dragon restaurant. I watch it on the news from the living room in Richmond Hill, surrounded by the Chen family. Thomas Liang in handcuffs, being led out of his house. Multiple officers seizing computers, files, evidence. The news anchor describes it as a major bust of organized crime operations in the Lower Mainland. 14 arrests, Jennifer says on the phone to Daniel, including 3 of Liang's lieutenants and 5 officials we have on record taking bribes. This is bigger than we thought. The evidence you provided opened up a network. When the call ends, Helen is crying. Happy tears this time. It's over. It's really over. Is it though? I look at Michael sitting across the room from me like there's this gulf between us. Because there is. 7 years of lies and grief and separate lives lived. That doesn't just disappear because the bad guy got arrested. I should go home, I say into the silence. Back to my apartment, my job, my actual life. Tomorrow, Helen says quickly. Stay tonight. Let's celebrate properly. I'll make a proper meal, like old times. Old times. When Michael was alive and we were engaged and the future felt clear and bright. That life is gone. We can't get it back just because the threat is neutralized. But I stay because I'm exhausted and it's late and because part of me isn't ready to leave yet.
Helen cooks. Michael and Daniel open wine. We sit around the dining table like a family, which we almost were once. The conversation is careful at first, avoiding the difficult topics. Then Helen starts telling stories about Michael and Daniel as children, embarrassing ones that make Daniel groan and Michael actually smile. Remember when Michael tried to impress Emma by cooking and nearly burned down his apartment? Helen laughs. He called me at 2 a.m, panicking about the smoke alarm. The recipe said high heat. I took that seriously. Michael is looking at me now. You never told me the dinner was terrible. You just smiled and said it was perfect. It was terrible, I admit. But you tried so hard. That mattered more than the food. Something shifts in the room. The careful distance we've been maintaining since this started. Helen and Daniel exchange a look, then Daniel stands. Mom, why don't we go check on something upstairs? We don't have anything to check on upstairs. Yes, we do. That thing. Remember? Daniel is already pulling his mother out of her chair. They disappear, leaving Michael and me alone at the table with the remains of dinner and half a bottle of wine. Subtle, I say. Daniel's never been subtle. Michael refills my glass. Do you want to talk about it? About which part? The kidnapping, the dead fiancé reveal, the wiretap operation? We have a lot of options here. About what happens next with us. Us, like that's a simple concept. Like 7 years of death and grief, and separate lives can be navigated with one conversation. I don't know what happens next, I admit. I'm angry at you. I'm relieved you're alive. I'm terrified of trusting you again. I'm drawn to you in ways I don't want to examine. It's all happening at once, and I don't know how to sort through it. I'm not asking you to sort through it tonight. He reaches across the table, palm up, offering. I'm just asking if you're willing to try, to see if there's something here worth rebuilding. I look at his hand, those familiar fingers that used to know exactly how to hold me, that wore my engagement ring for 3 months before he died, before I thought he died. I need time, I say. Real time. Not emergency crisis time where everything is heightened and dramatic. Normal, boring time, where we figure out if we actually fit in each other's lives anymore. I can give you time. His hand stays extended. I've gotten good at waiting. I take his hand. Not as a promise, not as forgiveness, just as an acknowledgement that this conversation isn't over, that maybe we're not over either. 3 months later. I'm covering a late shift at the youth clinic when my phone buzzes. Michael, dinner tonight? Found a new place in Gastown. No car bombs, I promise. His dark humor about his own death used to bother me. Now it just makes me roll my eyes. Me. Can't. Covering for Sarah. Tomorrow? Michael. Tomorrow works. I'll pick you up at 7. We've been doing this, slow, careful dating like we're strangers instead of people who are once engaged. Coffee dates, museum visits, long walks where we talk about everything except the kidnapping and the 7 years he was dead. We're learning each other again, finding the places where we still fit and the places where we've grown into different shapes. Is that the dead guy? Sarah appears at my shoulder, reading over it. I've told her the whole story. She's the only one who knows outside the Chen family and Detective Park. His name is Michael. Yeah, but dead guy is more fun, she grins. So are you two, back together? I don't know what we are. It's the truth. We haven't labeled it, haven't defined boundaries, or made promises about the future. We're just existing in each other's orbit, seeing what develops. My phone buzzes again. This time, it's an image. Michael has sent me a photo of a small velvet box. My heart stops. Michael, found this in my storage unit. Thought you might want it back. No pressure, no expectations. Just thought you should have the choice. It's my engagement ring. The one his grandmother wore. The one he proposed with 7 years ago on that beach in Tofino. The one I thought was buried with him. Sarah looks at the photo, then at me. Oh wow. What are you gonna do? I have no idea. But that's not quite true, because looking at that ring, I realize something. I'm not the same person who accepted it 7 years ago. That Emma was younger, more naive, believed in simple happy endings. This Emma knows that love is complicated, that trust is earned, not given, that sometimes the right choice is the terrifying one. Me. Keep it for now. Maybe I'll want it back someday. Maybe I won't. Let's just see where this goes. Michael. Fair enough. See you tomorrow at 7. Sarah nudges me. You're smiling. Am I? Yeah. You've been doing that a lot lately, ever since Dead Guy came back to life. I should correct her again. Should insist she call him Michael, but Dead Guy is kind of perfect. Because that's what he is. Someone who died and came back, bringing all kinds of complications with him. Someone who destroyed my life and saved it simultaneously. Someone I might love again, someday, when we're both ready. The clinic gets busy. I spend the next 3 hours treating minor injuries, giving vaccinations, answering questions about pregnancy and nutrition, and how to manage chronic conditions without insurance. This work grounds me, reminds me who I am when I'm not caught up in crime drama and family reunions with the dead. At 11, when my shift ends, Michael is waiting outside. I didn't ask him to come, didn't expect him, but there he is, leaning against his car, holding 2 coffees from the place that's open late. Thought you might need this. He hands me one. Rough shift?
Normal shift. How did you know I was here? Checked the clinic calendar online. Saw Sarah was scheduled with a partner. He shrugs. Figured it was you covering for her since that's what you always do. 7 years dead and he still knows my patterns. That should be creepy. Instead, it's comforting. We stand there drinking coffee, watching the Vancouver night move around us. Somewhere in the city, Thomas Liang is in prison awaiting trial. The Lotus Syndicate is fractured, scattered, no longer the threat it once was. Daniel is running the legitimate import business, Helen is teaching ESL classes to immigrant children, and Michael and I are figuring out what comes after survival. I meant what I said about the ring, he says quietly. No pressure. If we get back to that place someday, I'll ask you properly. If we don't, that's okay too. I just want you in my life, Emma, whatever form that takes. I lean against his car beside him. Our shoulders touch. I want you in my life too. But you need to understand something. The woman you proposed to 7 years ago, she doesn't exist anymore. What you did, letting me think you were dead, it changed me, made me harder, more suspicious, less willing to trust. I know, and the man who proposed to you doesn't exist anymore either. He turns to face me. We're different people now. Maybe that means we don't work the same way we did before. Maybe we work better. We won't know unless we try. So we try. I echo his words from 3 months ago. We try. He agrees. We finish our coffees. He drives me home to my actual home, the apartment I returned to after Richmond Hill, the life I reclaimed piece by piece. At my door, he kisses me goodnight. Soft, careful, like he's asking permission with every moment of contact. Tomorrow at 7, he reminds me. Tomorrow at 7, I confirm. He leaves. I go inside, lock the door, check it twice, because hypervigilance is a hard habit to break. But for the first time in months, I don't feel trapped. Don't feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel like, maybe, possibly, the worst is behind us. Like maybe we're finally free to figure out what comes next, together or apart, whatever we choose. And that choice, that freedom, is worth everything we survived to get here.